Alrighty. Hey, ladies, welcome to another Self-Love Conversations. My name is Gloria Ward. And of course, I'm coming back to you with a wonderful conversation with this amazing woman, Tracey Love Graves. Now, I saw her with our amazing person, Miss Nicole. They've been doing videos and little things, and she told me so much about her. And she told me a little bit about her story of how she overcome a lot of adversity. She is an actress. She is making so many strides in the entertainment world. And another big thing that she's doing is that she is influencing and uplifting people, which we had to bring her on because we needed to hear her story. So, Tracy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Gloria. I'm excited to
Absolutely.
be here.
Yeah. So, my first question that I ask a lot of the guests is, how did you get here? Like, what
Ooh.
is the story of how did you get in the place where you are now,
Mm.
where you feel like finally I know that I am really stepping into my own.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say at first, I just got here. So I'm glad that
Okay.
I'm here now to even be able to answer that question. Okay.
Okay.
Um, but my journey started as a young child. Like the first set I was on was Carlito's Way in the early
Yeah.
90s in New York.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, my mother's friend asked her to come to set because they needed extras.
Uh-huh.
And my mother at that point did not even know that I was dreaming about being on TV. Like, I
Really?
was that child that wanted to be a ballerina, but I was too shy to tell anyone to put me in classes. I knew I wanted to be on TV. In Brooklyn, I would be at home alone, standing on a chair at 5 years old to reach the mirror in the bathroom because you remember the little small mirrors back in the day.
Yeah.
So I'd be standing on a chair pretending to give red carpet interviews at 5 years old.
That's
I have no
amazing.
idea why. My spirit just said, "You're going to be doing this, so get used to it." But I scared myself to death until high school. Anytime I stepped out on stage in elementary school, I performed in talent shows alone, scared to death. I performed in plays, scared to
Yeah.
death. But
Yeah.
I didn't, I just like my spirit just knew I needed to do it. So I just kept going. I joined show choir in high school. So I sang
Hmm.
and danced, and we competed for 3 years. And I love that. I took my first theater class in college, and I loved it.
Hmm.
And ever since middle school, I knew I was going to move to LA and start this acting career. So as soon as I graduated from VCU, my cousin and I loaded up my car and we drove across country and
Wow.
haven't looked back since.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always love those kind of stories because I say to myself, for some reason I'm attracted to a lot of people who are in the arts. I'm very analytical, but it is
Mm.
just something about, people in the arts who have like this different kind of brain. And it's like it's so colorful. I used to um I used to really be in love with a person where he was an artist. And can I tell you, Tracy, he used to write on the walls and he used to do all
Ooh,
this stuff. And I just used to be all like,
you loved
right?
it.
Yes. So I'm always interested in the journey because,
Yeah.
a lot of things happen to get you to where you are now, right?
Hmm.
Taking that step, going to California, doing all these things. What were some of the challenges? What were some of the good and bad things? The first thing is you really stepped out. Like you
Right.
really packed up and left. And
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
fear and everything that came with that, how was that?
Yeah, well, it was in 2009, so right
Hmm.
after the housing crash.
Yes.
And everyone and we left. I was living in Richmond, Virginia. So everyone in Virginia was saying, "Why are you moving to California? There's no jobs.
Wow.
The economy is crashing. You're going to be poor." but I was like, I have to do it. I was also
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship at the time. I was in an on again, off again relationship. And when
Yeah.
I decided to move to California, it was his idea to make our last few months pleasant.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and my cousin and I, we were supposed to leave months earlier, but because of that relationship, I was like, oh, I need to save more money.
Yeah.
But really, I was just having fun with this guy. And, we actually wound up getting married years later, and now we're divorced. But,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there was that pull. And when we finally did leave, we actually didn't really have enough money to move to
Yeah.
California. We had just enough to live in a motel for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin and I, we just blasted every establishment with our resumes for a whole week. And at one point, I was like, all right, was this the right idea?
Yeah.
Did I make a mistake? But that still small voice in me was like, no, you're meant to be where
Mm-hmm.
you're meant to be here. Just keep going. I have an Om symbol tattooed on my neck,
Yeah.
and the owners of the motel that we lived in are Indian. And I went and gave them our last $50 for the
Yeah.
night. And I turned around and he says, "Oh, you have an Om symbol. What do you know about it?" We had a conversation. And he said, "Well, my wife is about to say a prayer for us. Would you like one?" I said, "Sure." So she comes out with her little lamp, her candle holder, and she wafts some smoke
Yeah.
over my head. She says a prayer. And the next day I received a call. We were approved for our studio apartment, and I
Wow.
got offered my first job
Wow.
after 5 days in Los Angeles. So as soon as that happened, I was like, I don't care what else happens to me. Like, I
That's
know I'm
right.
supposed to be here.
That's right.
Okay.
And you know, so many people live in fear though, Tracy, when
Hmm.
you you heard the voice, you delayed it, but you didn't really question it. And even when you questioned it, you knew that you had to make a move.
Hmm.
And when you made that move, even though you question yourself as to was it the right move, you got a confirmation that it was, right? And I tell women all the time, when you are trying to pursue a dream or anything that pertains to your life purpose, of course you're going to be scared, right?
Hmm.
Of course,
Hmm.
you're not going to know all the steps.
Yep.
Of course, you're not going to know what you are going to do. But guess what? If you continue to follow the voice and know that this is what you were supposed to do, there will always be a ram in the bush. There will always be something there to catch you. You just got to have that faith, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Can, can you talk a little bit about, you know, going through the challenges because it wasn't always easy.
Hmm.
Hearing that voice, what did that voice do for you? How did it give you fuel? And how were you nurtured along the way? Did you recognize the blessings like the one that you received with the people from the hotel along the way? Or did it take some time for you to see like, oh, okay, the more I do, the more I try, the more I get, right? What was that
Hmm.
journey?
Yeah. I immediately, one, because it was 5 days after we moved
Hmm.
there, I
Hmm.
immediately recognized that. I said
Yeah,
that's Jesus.
yeah,
Okay, that is the spirit that kept me through. Even on the drive there, my cousin wanted to drive straight through. So we drove
yeah.
from Virginia to California in just over a day and a half.
Get
She
out.
drove, I slept. I drove, she slept. We pulled over and both slept in Arizona for a few hours, let the sun come up. I started hallucinating. I
Wow.
saw palm trees
Yeah.
in the middle of the night, and I was like, I cannot drive anymore. I was like, if you're not ready, we're both just gonna pull over and sleep. Um,
Yeah.
and and we got there, and like I said, then we lived in this hotel. Right before we got there, this is where I was going with that. In New Mexico, we got pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
So the officer, he's like, "You were speeding. Why are you speeding?" And I said, "Officer," and I did this on purpose. I said, "We're moving to Los Angeles to be actresses." And he looked at my car and saw all of our possessions, earthly possessions in the world, and he said, mm, "Just slow down." Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And he let us go, but he looked so sad because he was like, "These poor girls,
Poor girls don't know what they're getting
don't
into.
they know?" No one makes it in California.
Right.
But for some reason I was like, the fact that he let me go means that I did something right.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, the
absolutely.
fact that I spoke that into existence. But yeah, I've always heard that still small voice. That voice used to comfort me growing up in a home with domestic violence. I would
Mm,
just go into my closet and start writing songs.
mm,
I would just start journaling about the life that I wanted, the life I wanted
mm-hmm.
to create. Like that voice helped me every time we moved because we moved a lot when I was a
Yeah,
kid and in high school. It was very unstable, but especially in high school, I had show choir. So I was able
yeah.
to dance and sing all of that energy off. And that voice was like, go home and practice, go home and
Mm,
listen to your tapes, go home and study the choreography because this is going to be important one day. You're going to tell
mm,
stories about this one day.
right.
So like that, I never doubted that voice
Yeah.
ever.
Now,
Hmm.
do you believe everybody has this voice, or you was just a special one that just had it, and then all of a sudden you were blessed in a certain way, or,
Oh,
you know, is this something you believe everybody possesses this voice? And if you do believe that, you know, how do you tap into that? How do you get the faith to listen to that voice?
I think we all have a connection to source energy. I think we all have a connection to God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that voice is usually very still and very quiet and soft and gentle and
Mm-hmm.
patient. I do think that I did have, I think you have to be crazy to to recognize that voice and to say I'm going to follow this no matter what. You have to be a little delusional.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think we all have that ability to listen, but I think a lot of us are not crazy enough to or confident enough to listen
Mm-hmm.
to it.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's where affirmations come in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do have a tormented soul
Mm-hmm.
and I do have that still small voice, but I also have that very loud voice that tells me you're not qualified,
Yep.
you're not Meryl Streep, this is taking too long. Maybe you should go get another career.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should have stayed home in Richmond because you could own a house right now and have two and a half kids, front yard, backyard, brand new American car.
Yep. Yep.
But instead, you're out here grinding for what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we do hear that voice and we do have to be crazy enough to tap in. That's why I love telling people to get a hobby,
Yeah.
especially in this industry. Go get something that takes your mind off of the no's that you keep hearing because
Mm-hmm.
we have to be our biggest cheerleader. We have to be our biggest fan. We have to tune out that loud voice that tells us to stop.
Absolutely.
And we need something, we need some grounding energy. We need somewhere to channel all of that energy that we hear. You know, like you said, the artist guy you were dating was writing on the walls. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
It was. It was. But he had a tormented soul too. It was, that whole thing of I want to be this artist, but my family wanted me to be this doctor. And artists, don't make money, but I'm going to try my best to do this, right? And like you said, it is that big back and forth. But Tracy, what we know, that's it's a big back and forth in anything when it comes to your dream. And
Mm,
the reason why is because you've never done it before. You have
mm,
no blueprint of how you're going to get there. But you know it works because you see thousands of people who have done it before. Whatever
mhm,
your
right,
dream is, somebody has done it. So you cannot sit here and say you can't because
right.
there are hundreds of thousands of people who are doing
Oof,
exactly what you want to do. So
I feel the
is it
power.
attainable? Yeah. Is it attainable?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. When it comes to you, is it attainable? Yes, but you've never done it before. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to go through that same journey, right? You have to mess up. You have to
Mm,
go through the fear. You have to go through the good times. You have to go through
mm.
the bad times because all of that makes you better. Because you got to be able to be born again into what it is that you want to be
Amen.
and do, right?
Amen. Amen. Some people are afraid to be embarrassed.
Oh,
They're afraid to look
absolutely.
dumb. And I'm
Yeah,
like, but we're amateurs in the beginning. At some point, we will look
very.
like idiots. We have to. It's just a hurdle we have to run.
All the
Period.
time.
I
All the
love reading
time.
autobiographies for
Mm-hmm.
that reason, to hear everyone's early journey,
Yep.
because we think we're so unique, but we're really
Yep.
not.
No, there's plenty of people who have done what you've done. But when the fear set in, it's because you're trying to think of an excuse to back out because it's
Mm,
easy to go back
mm,
to what you know. And it's
mm-hmm.
easy for you to say, oh, that shit didn't work. And now I'm back here with my life. No, what you said is this is getting too hard. I
Yep,
really don't want to struggle anymore. I really
yep.
don't want to go through this pain anymore. So I'm going to go back to what I know. Where the
Mm-hmm.
real key to success is figuring out how to break through the barrier. But again, somebody did it, right? Somebody did it. So you have to figure out, can I find somebody who has already done it
Mm-hmm.
so that I can go ahead and break through it faster? Am I going to just sit by myself and go
Yep.
through it and battle with my mind about what's good? Or, like you said, some of the things you did, am I going to feed my mind
Mm-hmm.
and tell myself, you know, I know this is only temporary, but we're going to get through this. Remember, this is a new journey and we're going to make it work. I'm going to read these
Mm-hmm.
biographies. I'm going to do what I need to do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is that part when it gets difficult that people don't want to go through. When it got difficult for you and you said you were reading biographies, when it got to the point where you felt like you wanted to give up, what are some of the other things that you did? Or did people come into your life? What did your voice come in to comfort you to say, hey, maybe you need a lifeline. Let me give you this person right here who will still encourage you. And it might
Mm-hmm.
be the man you get coffee from every day.
Right. You know what happened to me is that relationship that I was in, and he actually wound up moving to California also
Hmm.
a few months
Hmm.
after I did, and then we broke up.
Hmm.
And then 6 months later, we got engaged.
Hmm.
And it's crazy. But at that point, I was working at a private members club in LA,
Hmm.
and I was encountering a ton of celebrities in front of the camera and behind the camera. And I actually stopped auditioning for about maybe 2 years. When we
Hmm.
moved to California, I booked two roles off of Craigslist. This was back when Craigslist was
It was
reputable.
popping. Yep.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I was a Craigslist queen. I
Okay.
never failed on Craigslist anyway.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so then I started working this job. I actually found that job on Craigslist because they had just opened and they needed everyone. And I
Yeah.
thought, okay, well, I moved to California to be in the entertainment industry in some way, shape, or form. which was another something else that that loud voice added because I knew I wanted
Mhm.
to be in front of the camera. But that
Yeah.
loud voice said, well, maybe you'll be a hairstylist. And then
Mhm.
I went to hair school too for 6 months.
Mhm.
I dropped out.
Yeah.
But I'm working this job and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of connected to the industry through these people. I'm going to cool parties. I'm rubbing shoulders with celebrities that no one would ever get to experience. And
Yeah.
maybe this is all right for me. So I got comfortable. So that loud voice actually deceived me and told me that I don't have to pursue anything because I'm connected to it.
Mm.
You don't have to stretch or grow. Look at you. Just sit back, just be comfortable, just work this job forever. And what what happened to me was a girl, one of my girlfriends that I worked with, received a request to audition for a Kevin Hart film.
Mhm.
And she wasn't an actress. And I had taken some classes. Our manager was also an actress, and we helped her coach for this role. And I got home that night in the middle of the night, 2:30 in the morning. I looked up at the full moon. I said, wait, I moved out here to do this.
That's
Like,
right.
and I haven't been very clear. So I was like, okay, God, um, I want to be in front of the camera. I don't
Mhm.
know when that's going to happen. I don't know how you're going to make that happen, but let me be very clear and let me put that out there.
Mhm.
And I went in the house. I went back to work 2 days later, and there was a
Mhm.
message for me at the front desk from the same casting director to audition for the same role. And that turned out to be my first role in
Look at
as of
that.
last night.
Oh
Right.
man. That
Right.
is
So
awesome.
so that was so thank God that was my confirmation in a
Again.
mighty way. And
Mhm.
again in a mighty
Mhm.
way. You know,
Mhm.
so and that's funny. It's funny because I actually auditioned for that role and my ex-husband didn't know because we
Mm.
were beefing about something
Yeah.
because we were incompatible,
Yep.
but I didn't know it then.
Mhm.
And he found out when I was on the phone telling someone else that I just booked a role in a Kevin Hart film, and he was like, "I'm sorry, what?" I was like, "Oh, you want to talk to me now?" I
Yeah.
would,
Yeah.
I would love to share with you what I
Yeah.
just did today. So
Yeah.
it was like there was a lot that tormenting voice got real smart with me because it knew that I was a gentle soul. So it just like used comfort with me and it used that relationship and it used that time to keep me down. And then
Mhm.
once I realized it was time for me to break free, everything changed. I shaved my hair off again.
Mhm.
I got a divorce. I quit my job because I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not growing. I'm not
That's right.
stretching.
That's
This
right.
this place is not challenging me enough. I've been too complacent for way too long.
That's
And
right.
that's not what I came to Los Angeles to do.
Mhm.
You know, if I was gonna
Mhm.
live this life, I could have stayed on the East Coast.
Exactly. And I could have just,
And as soon as that,
been doing something.
yeah, I could have been doing something. As soon as that happened, I started booking commercials. I booked Being Mary Jane.
Mhm.
I was able
Mhm.
to move out and just break free and spread my wings. And then fast forward years later, this last film that I worked on really tested me, tested my soul, tested my faith
Yeah.
in God,
Yeah.
to the point where I had to call on prayer angels and my prayer team. I
Mm.
have a little spot out in my woods near the house where I dropped to my knees
Yeah. Yeah.
and called out to God because I was like, it was very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
growth
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I questioned whether or not I should be doing this.
Right.
Just last year,
Mhm.
like, is this for me?
Mhm.
Did
I'm in my
I? Mhm.
I'm I'm listening to you because I'm just saying to myself, I know what that's like. I know what that moment is like. And I just want to know while you was like in the thick of it, basically, because I want a lot of women just to hear this part because it's something that you can't ignore
Mm-hmm.
when you're on your journey. It's going to get thick. It's going to get to the point where it's breaking you. But when you was in it and you feeling this pain and you thinking that you're gonna give up and you are sitting there at any point, did you feel like, okay, you know what? You can have this. Or did that voice come back? Because even while you're yelling and screaming and doing all this, I tell people there's still something there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
still something there, but you either gonna give it an excuse or you're gonna give up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So while you was in the thick of it, did you still feel the light, or was it so dim where you were like, you know what, done?
I needed to take a step back. I'm gonna be honest, I spent a few days in the bed. My husband, bless his heart, bought me food
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
tea.
That's right. That's right.
and and I was just like, I know it's not over. So
See?
yes, that voice reminded me it's not over. We haven't finished. We don't know that any of this is your fault.
Mm-hmm.
You are doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
You are showing up as you right now. You can't do anymore. You have prepared yourself as much as you could, and you are giving all that you know. This is what this voice is telling me. And I'm like, okay, okay, all right, breathe. And then I went on a sabbatical for a week to California because that
Yep.
is my spiritual center. That's where it all started for me. That's where I knew I was supposed to be for so long because I live in Atlanta,
Yeah.
by the way.
Okay.
I'm in Atlanta now.
Yeah.
And
We neighbors.
hey,
I'm right
neighbor,
here.
where
Yeah.
are you?
Sandy Springs.
Shut up. Are you around the corner? I'm about to open your door. Are
Uh-huh.
we in, are we in the, we are neighbors.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I went to LA, I went hiking. I sat at the beach. I just listened to the waves so that that still small voice can get louder than the tormented voice that I was hearing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the voice just kept telling me, just give it time. It's okay. That's right. Lay in the bed. That's fine.
That's right.
Don't call anyone
That's
and
right.
tell them what you're going through.
Mhm. Mhm.
Tell your husband, tell your journal, and that's it.
Yep.
But just know that things will pick up, things will come back, and it has
Mhm.
nothing to do with you.
Yep.
Let my voice get bigger and just wait.
Mhm.
And and that's what happened, and that's what I did. And about a month later, I did receive confirmation that nothing had anything to do with me. It never does.
Nope.
It
And guess
never
what
does.
happened? And guess what happened? The new Tracy was born because the
Come
old one
on.
had to die. And the
She
death is not easy. The
she
death is not
died.
easy, right? The
Oh
death is not
God. If I could
easy.
have chosen something else, I would have. I swear to God. But this is the only way. It was the
The
only way
on-
through.
the only way through. But God give his biggest battles to his strongest soldiers. You
Amen.
gotta know that in order for you to break through, you have to become a totally different person, which
Mm,
means the old Tracy had to die so the new Tracy could live. And if that means we have to go through this stuff to break that old Tracy, to allow the new one to emerge so that she can
Jesus.
hear the voice and get it louder, and so that she can know my voice and not doubt
Oof.
me and everything, that's what has to happen.
Jesus.
right?
And that's
That has to
exactly what
happen.
happened.
And guess what, Tracy?
Mhm.
I'm listening to your story because another chapter is literally like closing in my life.
Mm.
It doesn't stop. It
Mhm.
doesn't
Mm.
stop
Mm.
because you just keep elevating higher and higher. So this new level that I'm going to, oh shit,
Amen.
it's a mess. But
Amen.
I learned from chapter one. So I can recognize it. I know what it is. I know the
Mhm.
angels that are around me to support me. And I keep saying, in the end, I win. Because that's what I
Amen.
know for sure. Because that's what I
Amen.
know for sure. In
Because
the
I've
end, I
been
win.
winning. Every
Yeah,
single time I've been winning. So why should that
absolutely.
change now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what I say to the women and the ladies. I hope you're hearing this because if there's anything that you want to do, anything with success, and you have some kind of adversity, you gotta know that it's necessary. And you don't want to hear it because you don't want no problems, you don't want to
Mhm.
hurt, you don't want to do
Mhm.
anything, but you gotta remember you never don't done it before. Motion causes friction. And
Mm.
in order for you to be that person that you want to be, that small voice is telling you that you have to become, because either way you're gonna get there kicking and screaming, or
Come
if you
on.
never get there, it's gonna die with you, right?
Mm.
You're gonna have to go through it. But the process you're going through is just like the butterfly effect. You just in that cocoon and you moving around, but
Yep.
in the end, you win. You come out as this beautiful butterfly. You come out a
Amen.
totally different creature.
Amen. And the butterfly had to wait.
Come
There's
on
no way to rush that process.
and go through a grueling process just to become
Mhm.
the butterfly it is, right?
Mhm.
So, what do you have coming up now? How can we follow you and see this wonderful
Oh
career
my
and
God, yes.
all these
Yes.
wonderful things you
Well,
have going on?
I don't know if you can see
Yes, I
this.
like
Love
that.
Life Hacks.
I do.
This is the podcast that I co-host with my husband. That's my T
Oh, that's
stream. Maybe you can't see
awesome.
that.
Right.
Love Life Hacks show on all socials. We have that going on right now. I am a SAG-AFTRA artist who is on strike.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we're not here to promote any of the films I have coming out.
Gotcha.
We're just here to talk. We're just here
Yeah.
to talk about me.
So Life Love Hacks, that's
Love
Instagram,
Life
Facebook,
Hacks. Yep.
uh,
Yep. Love Life Hacks show.
Love
I
Life
also
Hacks
just
show.
finished my first script. My
Mm-hmm.
husband is a writer, producer, director who just mentored me through my first script. I
Yeah.
have 1 million scripts started because that was
Wow.
another calling on my soul to write. Like I've always known that I would start in front of the camera and transition.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And there's a book called Save the Cat that teaches you
Yeah.
the basic script structure. I took a seminar. I have the book. I have all types of notes, but it just never stuck until I had someone sit down, my husband sit down, and give
Mm-hmm.
me the structure. And I
Wow.
was like, oh, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I just finished my first script called
Yeah.
How to Pimp Your Mother. Thank you. The
Oh
code
my
for
God, that's
reaction.
funny. Yeah.
Thank
How
you.
to
It's a
tip
coming
your
of age
mother.
story. A coming of
Oh
age story
God.
about a woman and her teenage daughter.
Wow.
Yes.
I know a lot of the women will be interested in that. How to pimp
Thank
your mother.
you. Come on.
Tracy, thank you so
Okay.
much for being here. I really enjoyed this conversation. Because I know a lot of the women will connect because this is somebody reassurance right here to keep going, right? This is somebody's confirmation when they watch this video, right?
Use me.
Yes, that's
Yes.
right.
Use me.
You know what I'm saying?
Please.
This is somebody's, information to say, well, I am on a right track. And at the end of the
Mm.
day, you are. Don't get weary in well doing. You
Hmm.
are. Do what you can. Do what you can and let go of the rest. Only do what you can control. And everything that you cannot control, leave it alone. It's going to be what it's
Amen.
going to be. It's going to be what it's going
Amen.
to be. And be
Period.
okay with that. And be okay
Here.
with that
Yes. Yes.
because it's
Yes.
all lining
Focus.
up. It's all
Focus.
lining up.
Focus on the goal. Know that you will reach it. Give yourself a time if you need to.
Hmm.
But in the end, you might have to stretch it, but just know it, just persevere, persistence and perseverance. The only thing that separates successful people from unsuccessful people is persistence and
Absolutely.
perseverance and never giving up,
Absolutely.
period.
Absolutely. Tell us the podcast one more time.
Love Life Hacks Show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also follow me and my story at Tracey Love Graves on Instagram. And also my grandmother's story. My 93-year-old grandmother is in the middle of a land dispute right now on Hilton Head Island. She's
Really?
in the middle
The
of a
lady who
battle.
has the house. The lady who has the
Absolutely.
house that was they trying to take the house and do something with it
They're
or
trying to take
whatever.
her land. Yeah,
What?
they're developing, this company is developing 29 acres
I heard of
that
that.
encircle her home. And
Mm-hmm.
they started harassing her to get her little 1.8 acres that our family has had. Our family has had that whole plot since the Civil War. But
Yeah,
over the decades, cousins have sold little parcels off here and there. But this section is my grandmother's in her name.
yeah.
And they decided they wanted. So they started harassing her. And she's a Scorpio. And she's like, no, no, no.
No,
She's a
thank you.
faithful follower of God. She's like, no, no, no.
Hmm.
And we put the
Hmm.
word out, and now the story is blown up.
Yeah. You're not gonna come
Yeah,
into my house and just tell me you're gonna
no,
take the stuff that I worked
no,
hard for.
no,
That's called
thank
the
you.
thief.
Come
Okay.
on, right.
Wow.
So
So
we're
we
just shedding light on this
Yeah, we definitely
behavior.
going to keep it. We definitely going to keep it at the forefront. And anytime you want to come
Hmm.
back, just come back and, hang out with us. And I'm definitely going to put the link out there to the show. I'm
Yes,
going to subscribe and listen to the show. And again, I just thank you for being here. And if you're in Atlanta, most definitely offline, we're going to connect. Okay.
yes, please. Yes, please. Thank
All
you. Because I heard
right.
about your retreats too.
Oh yeah, we had a
Okay.
wonderful time. We had a
Yeah, I
wonderful
heard. I
time.
heard. I
All
heard.
right, Tracy, thank you so much, and you have a good
Thank you
night,
so
okay?
much.
All
Right
right.
on. God bless.
All right, thank you.